Welcome back to Smoke Barbecue Source. I'm Ricer, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about the top 5 gas grills that I've cooked on in the past year. But you never know, maybe I even throw in a 6th one, just for good measure, that's what Grandma used to say. Hey, During this process, we actually decided that we'd find some grills that will probably be on the market for a while. But we also wanted to try to find ones that were built with a little bit better quality. But if you've got a great gasser that I don't end up mentioning and it's under 500 bucks, well, leave it in the comments below and maybe in the near future we'll do a review on that model too. The pricing that I'm using in this video today is just your standard base price. But check the description below because we will have links that can send you over to these same models and maybe they'll be on sale and you'll be able to save yourself some chablinas. And everybody wants to save some chablinas. Coming in at number 1 is our Char-Broil American Gourmet Classic 3-Burner Series. The packaging, it's good. One thing that I noticed that there is a lot of parts for this very small grill to put together. But it still only took the boys a little over half an hour to get this gas grill assembled. But you'll notice that the cart, it's not built on the heavier duty side. For the most part, it's pretty sturdy once you get all the bolts and screws tightened up. You have 360 square inches of cooking space and a warming rack, which I would say is probably right around 120. The grates, they're on more of the cheaper end, but they are coated porcelain steel. You have a push start ignition system and all 3 of these burners lit up immediately. And on every single gas grill, I like to do at least a 30-minute burn off. You want to make sure that you burn out any of that debris or oil from the manufacturing process. This grill, unfortunately, it does not have a temperature gauge, but seeing that it has 30,000 BTUs and it is a smaller chamber, I'm pretty sure it can exceed over 800 degrees. That's hot. You have 2 stationary side shelves, so yeah, unfortunately they do not fold down. And they also don't have any tool hooks, so you're gonna have to put your utensils or knives right on the shelf. I did notice that they tend to sag a little bit, so if you have some really juicy product on that cutting board, you might have a little bit of it dripping down to the ground. You've got 2 peg legs and 2 casters, but this pit is super light, so it's really easy to move around. Now, on all gas grills, I like to do what I call the burnt toast test. So what I noticed when I tested the little American Gourmet is that the inside toast got a lot darker than the outsides. Overall though, this little gas grill does a great job and it gets pretty dang hot. I mean, most of you out there are looking for a gasser just to do some good old-fashioned cheeseburgers. The American Gourmet is perfect for the person that just wants to start grilling. And the bonus, it's priced right. Right now it comes in at $230. But I have seen it on sale for a lot lower. But I wish it had a little better storage shelf for the LP tank. It did take us a couple times to figure out how to actually hang it so it wouldn't fall off from there. Coming in at number 2, we have the Broil King Gem 320. With this little gasser, it actually surprised me how good it actually runs. Like most gas grills, this one was also packaged pretty good. The hardest part of this assembly was putting the storage cabinet together, and there isn't a lot of parts, so it didn't even take the boys a half an hour to get this gas grill assembled. The Broil King, it has a fully cast aluminum chamber and dressed up a little bit with a stainless steel wrap over the lid. And that powder coated cabinet that stores your LP tank really sturdies this pit up. You have 294 square inches of cooking space and 132 square inches on the warming rack. You have cast iron grates, so that equals epic looking hash marks. It has what they like to call the Sure Light electronic ignition system, and those burners lit up immediately. During the burn off, the Gem 320 got to temperatures above 750 degrees, but that's because they're pushing 24,000 BTUs off those 3 burners in that small chamber. This gas grill does have a temperature gauge, but the numbers can be a little hard to read. The 2 plastic side shelves do have 2 tool hooks on both sides, and they both fold down, and that means it's a smaller footprint in case you have to store it. You have 2 peg legs and 2 wagon wheels. But like the other one, this one is also very easy to move around. During the burnt toast test, I noticed that you have a lot of control on each one of those burners. But pretty similar to the American Gourmet, the inside toast was a tad more done than the ones that are on the right and the left. Overall, this little gas grill does a really good job, and it's pretty convenient to cook on. It can get really hot to cook up some quick chicken wings, and it can certainly produce some awesome looking hash marks. This grill is perfect for anyone that doesn't have a lot of storage space or just has a very small deck. But it certainly has enough cooking space to make sure that everybody gets something for dinner. I truly do enjoy cooking on this Broil King, so for $379, I think that the Broil King, it is a really solid option. But I could use a bigger temperature gauge. You know, my eyes don't work as good as they used to. Dang it. Coming in at number 3, we have the Weber Spirit Mach 2 E210. All these numbers, maybe just put a... It's a Weber Spirit. The Weber Spirit comes in at $449. Like all the Weber products, the Spirit 2 was packed good and tight. It did take the boys over an hour to do the whole complete assembly, but that's because there's a few extra pieces on that cart to assemble. And it's nice that the bottom cart has a shelf where you can store some of your cooking equipment. And one of the longest parts is when they had to route some of the ignition wires behind the cover. The bottom part of the cooking chamber, it is made out of cast aluminum, and the lid is enamel coated for easy cleanup. You have 360 square inches of cooking space with a 90 square inch warming rack. You have porcelain enamel cast iron cooking grates, which gives you the ultimate sear. You have an electronic ignition, and again, both of these burners lit up immediately. The Weber Spirit 2 has 26,500 BTUs, and during the burn off, it got over 600 degrees. The numbers on the temperature gauge are a little bit easier to read, but I still wish they were a tad bigger. I mean, old people. It has 2 nice stainless steel shelves, and they have 3 tool hooks on each side. One shelf will fold down completely, but the other one, if you want it to go all the way down, you do have to take off the LP tank. The bonus is that the Spirit 2 does have a tank scale, so there's no more guessing how much gas you have left during any cook. You know, we've all been there. Honey, can you make some chicken breasts for saladines? Sure. Whoops. I'm out of gas. Again, we have 2 peg legs and 2 wagon wheels. This pit is a little bit heavier than the other 2, but it still moves around really easy. During the burnt toast test, I did notice that the front right and the front left was a little lighter, but not really anything that you're gonna have to worry about. Just rotate as needed. The Weber Spirit 2 performed great, and everything that I cooked on it turned out fantastic. It's built pretty dang solid, and with some preventive maintenance, it's gonna last you a very long time. Obviously, this grill is perfect for a smaller family, but it is also a great option for somebody that wants to become, you know, the grilling backyard enthusiast. Weber has a tremendous amount of accessories that you can get for this grill, like a rotisserie, or they even have a griddle that can fit in there. Now, I really like the build quality on the Weber Spirit 2, but I wish that it had 2 rotating and locking casters. Coming in at number 4, we have the Weber Q 2800 N Plus. The Weber Q Plus, it comes in at $399. But if you want the bottom pedestal stand, then you're gonna go up to $499. And the assembly, well, that was maybe 10 minutes because there's really nothing to put together. This grill, it is meant to run off a 20-pound tank. The 1-pound bottles, Weber doesn't recommend it because they say it won't run as efficient. I've never tried it. I can't say you can't do it. The whole chamber, it's made out of cast aluminum, so it's gonna last a long time. You have 320 square inches of cooking space, and the grates, they're the same porcelain enamel cast iron. So capable of making a great sear. I mean, that's really what you care about when you're grilling. The same electronic ignition system, and it lit up immediately. During the burn off, the Q easily got up to 750 degrees because I had the 18,000 main burner going, and the Plus one has 4,000 BTUs. So that's packing a lot of power in a very small chamber. You can read the numbers, but the temperature gauge, I just wish it was a little bit bigger. You have 2 nice and sturdy shelves. I'm pretty impressed how good they actually work. They're really easy to take off, and they have a great storage location on the bottom below. below. And if I'm remembering correctly, each shelf can hold 15 pounds. That's pretty impressive for a little portable grill. Without the stand, the bonus is that the Q only weighs 32 pounds, so you should be able to carry it around pretty easily. During the burnt toast test, everything was pretty evenly cooked, but I did notice that the outer edges were a tad lighter, so that means just a flip 180 degrees rotate. Taught you something. Now the Q is perfect for all of you beginners that are just looking to do some burgers and brats on the weekend, and maybe that occasional Tuesday night ribeye steak. Let's eat, kids. And you certainly don't have to worry about any storage space. Now another option that you could look at for the exact same price of $399 is the Weber Traveler. With that one, it's attached to a cart. For storage, it just folds up. You can slide it in between your desk drawer. Maybe not between your desk drawer, but you could at least slide it up next to the wall and it would sit nice and tight. Plus, it's really easy to get it in a car. Pick it up, throw it on in. Now the difference on the Traveler, it has one burner that produces 13,000 BTUs. So it might not get as hot as the Q, but it certainly can still produce some really nice sear marks. Truly the only con that I have about either the Q or the Traveler, you really can't cook very easily indirect. It'd be nice to see Weber maybe someday come up with 2 burners, one on each side, so you could cook indirect. But most of you that are watching, you just really want to be able to grill up some steaks or some hot dogs. Finally, coming in at number 5, we have the Monument Mesa 415BZ. I'm always impressed by Monument, how they can stick so many pieces and parts in such a small box. This by far was the longest assembly, and it took the boys well over an hour and a half to finish. This grill is made out of stainless steel, and in my opinion, it is a tad better quality than your typical run-of-the-mill stainless steel build. You have 450 square inches of cooking space on the bottom rack, and the top warming rack is 180 square inches. Like the other ones, the cooking grates are enamel-coated cast iron. This one's electronic ignition also worked flawlessly and lit up all the burners immediately. Even the convenient side burner was lickety-split and it was lit. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. The Mesa during the burn-off also got up to 750 degrees, but I did have that broil zone burner on. Now you talk about an extra burner that does magic, I really like this broil zone. All 5 burners in the chamber mount up to 50,000 BTUs, and the side burner has 12,000 BTUs, which easily will get a rolling boil in less than a couple minutes. So you have 2 stationary side shelves with plenty of hooks on both ends to be able to hang up your tools. One really nice feature that the Mesa has, it has a clear view lid, but when it comes to glass on a gas grill, be ready to clean it with some vinegar because they get dirty pretty quickly. In the bottom cabinet, not only can you store your LP tank, you also have some room where you can put some of your cooking equipment and utensils. You have 4 rotating and locking casters, and on a smooth surface, the pit moves around pretty easily. But those plastic casters, they're not going to move around very easily on gravel. During the burnt toast test, the only one that I noticed that looked any different was that back right-hand corner. So maybe you avoid cooking on that back right-hand corner and that just becomes more of a holding zone. Hands down, my favorite part about the Mesa is the broil zone. Now just take a look at that complete sear on that ribeye steak. And if you've grilled enough before, you know the sear is where the flavor is at. Now one cool extra feature on this Monument is that the knobs light up. I know that's really cool in the city. Now up here in Gould's country, we aren't probably going to turn those on a lot because the skeeters are going to get you. With the Mesa Monument, you can also get some really great accessories, like a rotisserie. My only con about the Mesa is that it has the typical Monument plastic casters. Now I truly hope that you learned something from this video. If you did, great. Leave us a comment below and tell me about it. Or maybe you're over at your friend's house this weekend and, well, his gas grill's all rusted out, holes in it, so share it. We appreciate that. If you're looking for more information about some gas grills, well, just check the description below because we always have little tidbits that you can read about, or maybe it's pricing, like I said earlier. There'll be pricing in here. It'll be great for you. But I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.